This is Santesh Kalada from Taskify Labs. So today in this video, we'll be discussing about how you can create an automation that actually monitors a Dropbox folder for new files. See, the reason I'm creating this video is because right now N8N doesn't have a proper integration with Dropbox. Yes, it does have a Dropbox node, but it does not have a functionality. It does not have a trigger which monitors a folder for new files. Because this is a requirement that you will often run into. Many clients would have Dropbox folders where their editors or their team members will add files and you want to process from that particular folder because most clients prefer Dropbox to Google Drive. So this is something you need. I hope that N8N will be adding this feature in future. But as of now, since this trigger is not available, we'll be creating a manual workflow to monitor a Dropbox folder for new files. So what are the requirements? The main requirements would be an N8N account. It can be a self-hosted or cloud account. Of course, if you want, you can go for self-hosted. In fact, I'll give you a link to a tutorial where I'll show you how to create an account, create a self-hosted account. But if you have the budget, I would always recommend go for cloud account. Okay. So the cloud account, the process would be much easier. And see, if it is self-hosted account, each time you'll have to get API keys, those kind of stuff. But if it is cloud account, it is kind of like just a click of button, just sign in with your account and everything will be automatically connected. So if you are looking for a cloud account as well, I have given a link in the description of this video. So if you're signing up using that link, you will be getting good discounts. And Dropbox account, I am sure that if you're watching this video, you'll definitely have a Dropbox account. So what does this automation do? See, basically what this automation does is it monitors a Dropbox folder regularly for new files and it can process the new files. In my case, whenever there is a new entry, I'm adding it to a Google Sheet, but you can do any kind of processing. Next, how much can you charge for this automation? See, just for this simple automation, you can easily charge $200 to $300. See, if you want to create this, like you can just duplicate my workflow. This workflow would be available for free in my school community. And I have given the link to my school community in the description of this video as well. So just for adding this particular trigger, you could easily charge $200 to $300. And what is the application? Real life application of this automation. In fact, I'll tell you a work that I've delivered for a client of mine. So this client, he wants to automate social media publishing. Okay, so what he does is his editor edits the videos and put it in a Dropbox folder. And what this automation does is it will actually watch the Dropbox folder. Whenever there is a new entry, it is added to a Google Sheet with the status as published. With the status, there's a column called publish and status will be no. And every day another automation runs every 4 hours and it takes the first entry from a Google Sheet and post it in the client's account, social media account. Okay, so in this case the editor would be adding the videos in the Dropbox folder, and in our case the workflow will get these files and schedule it in social media for posting. Okay, so that is just one application. Now let us move to creating the automation. It's a very simple automation. In fact, my first schedule, see, the trigger I have added it as a schedule trigger because for clients when I do it, it is like they just want to check this at least once a day. So that is why I've added a schedule trigger. If you want, you can add execute manual trigger as well. See, here in trigger, there is trigger manual. You can do that. Okay. Now, first you have to decide which is the folder you need to monitor. In my case, inside my Dropbox, I have actually created this folder called N8N test and I've added an image here. Okay. In fact, in my Google Drive, I have created a sheet like this Dropbox thing. There is a file name and there is a file ID. Now let me quickly show you executing this scenario and if it is getting added. In fact, I have also created a data table. See, this is the data table I have created. See, data table is a new feature by N8N. It's excellent. Like normally you'll have to go for external databases like Airtable or even use Google Sheet as a database. But now N8N does provide this feature natively. So there's already one entry here. So what I'll do is I'll just delete this entry. Okay. Now I'll just run the automation and show you. See, now it is listing the folder, adding the post to Google Sheet, and added the file to database. Now let us check the Google Sheet. See here, the file name as well as file ID is added. Now this is my Dropbox files data table. I'll just refresh this. And see here, the file name is also added. Now let's move to creating the automation. First thing is you add a trigger. Next, you need to add this particular thing. That is, go here, search for Dropbox, and there is something called list a folder. Add that here. Okay. And make sure that you are connecting your Dropbox account. In my case, it is already connected, but if you are creating something new, like again, as I told you, if you're using cloud account, all you have to do is select auth and you'll have a just sign in button here. You can just click on the sign in button and connect your Dropbox account. It is as simple as that. But if you're using a self-hosted account, yes, you need to create this, generate this access token and everything manually. So for that, just click on open documents and it's giving the exact step-by-step method for this. So open app console. So I'll click on open app console. See, in my case, I've already created the app, but in your case, you'll have to create an app. Okay. And see, scoped access, and here give full Dropbox and give a unique name and create the app. Okay. And once you have created the app, you will be greeted with a screen like this. Now, the next thing you have to do is go to permissions, enable all these permissions, account info, both the permissions, files and folders, both of them, all these permissions. Yeah, this should be enough. And after that, click on the submit button here. And once that is done, go to settings. Here, there is something called generate access token. All you have to do is just click on generate access token and get that token and paste it here. After that, click on save button. So that is how you connect your Dropbox account to your N8N. And yeah, now you have to give the folder path. Folder path, in most cases, it would be just a slash and it would be just a slash and your folder name. But again, if you're having a team account and all, this folder path, it might be different. So what I would recommend is like add another trigger. Okay, just trigger, then trigger manually, then again add a Dropbox node, Dropbox node, and you have something called query. Add it here, and here in the query, type your folder name. And now I'll execute this one and show you. See. Now when I execute this, see this, I'm getting the exact path to display. So you can just copy this path and give it here, folder path. That is the first step. Now see, I'll just load the previous execution. Just give me a second. Copy to editor. Yeah. Now next thing is edit field, because see, if we list a folder, we'll be getting all this information. Everything is not needed. In our case, we just need the file name and file ID. So what we'll do is I'll add edit field. See, for adding edit field, just search for edit field, then add it here. And in our case, yes, I'm just getting the last modified, but this is not necessary. I have just added these three fields. And again, file name, I'll just drag and drop it here. See, if I just drag and drop it here, this full name would be there with the extension. In my case, I don't want the extension. Okay. So that is why I'm adding like this, an expression like this. Otherwise, don't do that. Just simple drag and drop should be enough. Okay. And if you're wondering how I generated these expressions at all, see, I just asked ChatGPT for this. Okay, ChatGPT will generate all these expressions for you. I'm not a coding expert and all. I just give ChatGPT my input details. I'll give JSON details like this, and I'll tell ChatGPT this is something that the output I'm getting from a node. From this node, I want to extract just this part. Give me the N8N expression for that. Then we have the file ID. I have just dragged and dropped in the file ID here. Then last modified date. Yeah, last modified server. That also I have added. Okay, and here there is a filter node. In fact, yeah, I'm sorry. This one last modified date, we actually need it. I'll tell you why. Okay, next we have a filter node. So for that filter, add it here. And see, we had the last modified date, right? So in our case, if we upload a file, the last modified date would be the date on which the file was uploaded. So you can just drag and drop it here. But the thing is that, in fact, let me just cut it and show you. See, if you just drag and drop it here, you will be getting a time like this with correct date and time all in this particular format. We don't want it in this format. I want it in this format. Okay. So I have just modified the expression. Again, if you're wondering it how, like what I have done is like I've just given this expression to ChatGPT and asked it to modify that expression so that I get the output like this. So I am recording this video on 6th of November, that is today's date. And I'm just checking if the date of upload is today. Again, you can add an expression here. Okay. So please make sure that you are modifying it here. That is, you need to generate an expression which will give you a date in this particular format. Again, if you do not know, ask ChatGPT for it. It will generate you the expression for that. So that is done. So in my case, date is today. So it is checking if the last modified date is today. So it will take only the files that are uploaded today. And the next step would be check if the file exists in the data table. So just search for data table and see here. If row does not exist, add it here. And in your case, if you do not have a data table created, first you have to create a data table. So go to your N8N account, go to data tables, and in data tables, you have an option to create a data table. Just click on create data table, give a name. And see, this created at and updated at, this column would be always there by default. Next, if you want to create a column, just click here and give the column name. And in my case, I've given the column names as file name and file ID, and type would be string in both cases. And yeah, I have added that. And once that is done, see, Dropbox files and must match, then file ID. Okay. Because file ID is a unique identifier. So we are actually checking if this file is actually there in our table. So we are searching by file ID. So if it is not there only, it will give you an output. If it is there, it will give you an empty array. Okay. In our case, this particular entry was not there in the table. So it gave us this output. And next I have added an if node. If, and see, as I told you, if the row does not exist in our database, only the previous node will give you an output. So I'm just dragging and dropping it here. And here under string, I'm just checking if it exists. Because if it exists, it means that this particular entry was not there in the table. So we need to add it to the table. Now, before that, I'm just adding a Google Sheet node. So see, just search for Google Sheet node and you have an append row in sheet. Add that. And see here, I've just selected my particular sheet and file name and file ID. I'm adding it here. Okay. So that is how we do it. And next, after that, once it is added to the Google Sheet, I need to add the file to the database as well. So again, I'll search for data table and here you have an option called insert row. So click on insert row and add the file name and file ID. So this is basically how you can monitor a Dropbox folder for new files. Now let me just quickly show you one more example of how it works. So I'll just upload, yeah. I have just added one file called host1.png. Okay. Now see here, before executing the workflow, we only have one file name. And now let me just quickly execute this workflow and show you. Now see here, when you list the folder, there are 2 items. Then from edit field also, you're getting 2 items. Then when you filter, we are filtering by today's date. Even if that is the case also, we have 2 items. Next, we are checking if the file exists in the database. So from these two items, see there are two files. One is Memo with Lace and one is host node. This file already exists in the data table. So we are skipping this one and we need to add only this one. So it should have added to the Google Sheet. Let me go to the Google Sheet. See here, the file name is added. And now if I go to data table, let me just quickly refresh this page. Yes, perfect. See, the file name is added along with the file ID. So this is basically how you do it. So I hope all of you have understood on how to add this automation. And as I told you, this automation is available for free in my school community. So you can just download this automation, then go to your N8N account, click here, click on create a workflow and click here, and you have an option to import from file and import the workflow file. So you'll have everything in your N8N account. Now, if you want me to help you create these automations for you, you can contact me using the link in the description of this video. So once again, thank you for watching this video and I'll see you in the coming videos. Thank you.